Welcome to Songwriters Tales with Mark and Craig. I'm Craig, and Mark's not here today. Mark is in Los Angeles on a business trip, and he couldn't be here, so I'm doing this special introduction for a podcast that we recorded recently. I am so excited about this, and Mark is as well. He's on the podcast. He's just not here to introduce it today. So here's the deal. You've heard us talk about Zach Brown and his Camp Southern Ground, where we go and write with the veterans out there. We've been doing it about 6 years. It's been an amazing experience. It's all in our podcast. You can find that. But we have Jake Dukes, who runs that camp over there, who I was introduced 6 years ago to. And he is an amazing man. He's good friends with Zach Brown. He's been out there since the start of this place. He's going to tell you all about what's going on out there riding with veterans. And he's going to tell you all about why he does it and how he came about. So anyway, it's time for the podcast. Going to miss old Mark on this intro, but he'll be back on the actual podcast. So in his immortal words, let's do it.
Hey, I'm Mark.
And I'm Craig.
And we're back with a very, very special guest, Mr. Jake Dukes, who is a VP of Strategic Initiatives with Camp Southern Ground.
Is that a mouthful?
It is. So I'll turn it over to Craig and let Craig kind of prime you, and then you can kind of tell us what the heck a VP of Strategic Initiatives does.
Right.
Well, Camp Southern
Good
Ground.
luck.
Great. Thank you, Mark. I want everybody to see, first of all, can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
We can.
Can you see it? Okay, can you see?
Boom.
that?
You got all
We
the swag.
can.
Eric, does that look familiar, Jake?
Yeah.
Okay.
He probably drinks out of those cups every day.
All the time.
Pretty much, several times. So I met Jake about 6 years ago down at it's Zach Brown's Camp Southern Ground, is
That's
how
right.
we know
Yeah.
it. And I was invited down there through Heidi, who's coming on our show, as a matter of fact, here shortly.
Oh, that's great.
And Jake is you were in a different position when I met you. You were right there with the songwriting of the veterans, and I'm not going to go into all the detail because then we wouldn't have anything to talk about. So I do want to read a few things. Let's see. It says that you bring a blend of organizational leadership, ministry experience, coaching, and strategy development to your work at the camp. And are you still a pastor?
Yeah.
Is that what
I did, yeah.
Okay, you're still a pastor.
Got a church down in Brooks. Absolutely.
Very good. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight. And you're down in Sonoya. Is that how do you say it?
Sonoya.
Well,
Sonoya.
there's a debate. So it's, you get to choose. And it kind of which one you use says a lot about you. So be careful. So
Okay, how about this? What do you call it?
we call it Sonoy, but that's just because
Sonoy.
Yeah, that's just because that's what a lot of locals say. They say Sonoy.
Okay,
but
well that's
the debate goes all the way back to because it's actually one of Chief McIntosh's wives. I think one of his favorite wives. And so the debate goes all the way back to how do you pronounce her actual name. And so it's a Creek Indian name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
There you go. Well, I'm gonna call it what you call
Sonoy,
it.
yeah.
I think that's the safest thing.
Right.
So would you tell us a few things? Just tell us about. I know you've got a big family and growing.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the things that impressed me the most about you. But tell us a little about yourself. Now I've told our audience a few things, but go ahead and kind of reintroduce yourself for everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it. Great to be on here with you guys. Excited about your podcast. So my background, I started in my young adult life. Working in faith-based work. And so, kind of parachurch organization type stuff. We did a lot of young adult college ministry, and then went on to work for some churches, and worked in church ministry for, pretty much 20 years, almost 20 years, and loved it, was so inspired by that work. very much pastoral in my heart. Just care about people and helping people grow and connecting to the best version of themselves and using faith and spirituality to really enhance their own private and personal lives, but as well as, ways that we can, kind of live out the reality of love and kindness and goodness to fellow man, all that in our communities as well. And so just community building, like, discipleship, connecting people has always been a big passion of mine. And so I met Zach in around the 2010 timeframe, and we had, like, he had a bunch of kids, I had a bunch of kids, like he had a bunch of girls, I had a bunch of girls, and then we both had a son like later on. So it was just funny how kind of our I just kept trying to keep up with him, like in terms of just the family stuff, and so. So we started our family started going on vacation a lot, and just like everybody had a buddy. And so that was while I was in ministry and doing the church stuff. And then I eventually left the ministry to go start my own kind of consulting firm and work. And that's when Zach brought me on kind of as a consulting role in 2017. And that I did that for a year. And then the camp was really getting started. Camp Southern Ground was growing at that point. We were building out a lot of stuff at the camp. And I say we, at that point, I was kind of watching from afar and just kind of admiring what he was doing. But also was like, okay, cool. Like kids summer camp, great. Didn't really see the depth and the fullness of what he had envisioned and what he wanted to do until later on. So that was kind of how I grew up. I, have a great family. Me and my wife and our 5 kids, we live down in Sonoyla, as you mentioned, and my brother lives in our neighborhood, and my parents live in our neighborhood. So we got a great little slice of heaven down here, man. I feel like I hit the lottery on life.
That is awesome. Well, I heard it's Tim Huffman was another guy that was very involved with the songwriting, and Tim told me, if I recall correctly, that Zach used to go to the camp up there in Helen, Georgia.
Glisson, Camp Glisson. It's
Camp Glisson,
right? Yeah, it's near Dahlonega and Helen and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they have Camp Sparrowwood, which is like a special needs camp. And he also worked at Camp Michael, so he worked at a couple places, but primarily Glisson. And he grew up at that camp. Learned to play guitar by chord up there. Tim actually taught him he was a classically trained, and if you've ever sat down with Tim Huffman, man, that guy is absolutely brilliant on the guitar. He'll quickly leave you like way far behind. Even an accomplished guitar player be like, wait, where is this guy? He's brilliant. And so he taught Zach how to play classical guitar. And then later on they got reconnected. And I think Zach, if I remember the story right, Zach he remembered him. He was like, you taught me how to play guitar, which is so cool.
Wow.
And Tim's still involved in the programs today, is an incredible guy. But he learned to sort of do the campfire songs right at summer camp. And so, he'd play there, and you'd always see him with a guitar in hand sitting on like the dining hall steps. That whole experience, not just the camp, where he really felt like that was a place kind of like a home away from home,
Sure.
They kind of moved around a little bit. And so like just being able to have that place that he could come back to where everybody, everybody knew him and liked him and supported him. And school was a tough learning environment for Zach. He'd tell you that, and I think that the camp unlocked him in ways that just regular kind of sitting in a classroom never was able to do. So like it just forged a lot of stuff in Zach about his passion for education and how to raise kids, and just a whole lot of philosophies got formed in his heart and mind around that camp environment.
That is awesome. Well, Tim Huffman is going to be on our show
cool.
here.
Yeah, you'll get to hear the story straight from the horse's mouth. So that'd be great.
Yeah, we got him scheduled.
Good.
We got him scheduled. So it's a children's camp for, is it 2 or 3 months during the summer?
2 months, June and July. That's right. Yeah, kids camp.
June. Okay.
Yeah, kids camp June and July, and then we serve kids it's an inclusion camp. So as I mentioned before, Zach, the sister camp was called Sparrowwood. And actually, it was like part of the same camp, but one was for kids with special needs and one was like typically developing kids. And so Zach's first step, early steps in the leadership in the camp world with Glisson was part of that inclusion, or rather the special needs area of the camp. And so, you just you just hear Zach tell some of those stories of like he would take a group out in the woods, and one girl who'd never been in the woods. She just took off running. He was like, I guess I'm running after her. So he just sprints after her.
No.
He's like, she was much faster than I am. So quickly she was outpacing me. Now, we were going to get lost in there. But then finally she stops and he's like, talks to her and they go on back to camp. So it's just being exposed to people, because he grew up, in the woods and all that. So like but having a background and an understanding of what it is to get people with differences together, especially around the outdoors, and just how that kind of equalizes everything. We're all humans again. And just what it taught him about leadership and, service. He told me, he was like, Jake, that early summer, one of those first summers, like when I was a counselor, especially for kids who are on the spectrum, on special needs kids, just the narcissist in me died. Like the fact that I thought the world revolved around me, and just how much I was convinced and understood that I'm here for a bigger purpose to serve other people. That was just a big part of it. So, yeah.
That's a great and the reputation, is publicly known. All of that, I mean, for what he does. I don't think people know as much about the children's camp as they've heard about the veterans.
Yeah.
So let's move into that now. Again, I said I met you 6 years ago, as Mark did. Mark and I would come down there. I'm still coming down there on a regular basis every month when it's open for Warrior Week, and what we do, just for the audience, what we do is we'll come in one night out of the week of what's called Warrior Week. And there's usually 3 to 4 songwriters, and we break off in our groups, and there's every branch of the service, and male and female, and we'll all have anywhere from, usually 3 to 8 people in our group, depending upon how many are there that week. And we'll go off for 3 hours and write a full song with them. And at the end of the night, we come in and we'll perform that song in front of the whole group.
It's always amazing.
And it is, of course, you guys thank us, and I almost feel embarrassed that you thank us, because we're going, why are you thanking us? We want to
I was going to say,
you.
I was going to say, in addition to writing with them, we get to break bread with them, and we get to learn about their lives. And
that's right.
As you were just saying, Jake, anytime you're feeling sorry for yourself or you're feeling too big for your britches, when you talk to these people for about 20 minutes, you quickly realize, A, how fortunate I am, and B, how amazing these people are. And so, when we talk about that, we were asking you this before the show started, but where did the idea of writing a song with a veteran as a healing experience, where did that start? Or if you don't know where it started, who came up with that idea, and how did it evolve? Because it is an amazing program.
I appreciate y'all saying that. And what a blessing, right, for all of us to get connected through that work, and now we're here talking to each other on this cool podcast. But so one of the things that I did early on, going back to like, hey, who is Jake and what does he do for Camp Southern Ground? I started they asked me to come on and to bring on thought leaders from various sectors of the communities that we were a part of, to kind of advance our thinking on, what are the specific needs of kids who have autism? How can we use music as a therapy tool to assist, like Ben Jaffe and the guy Tim Nichols was on that. We had the guys from Creative Vets that, kind of help us think through some stuff. And so, a lot of different individuals who kind of really challenged us on how we were thinking about music and how to use music to bring about, just an opportunity to tell story and to share and to connect. And so, Joey and I were the ones who kind of helped pull together the Warrior Week concept. And so we were listening to a lot of these great folks who were talking about how like a veteran could write a song, and really the ability to be able to tell your story is one of those powerful healing tools that we have as a human, right? I've got a safe, open environment that I can share whatever, if it's trauma, it can be trauma, or it might just be all the stuff that was going on, and just be able to share that and to tell that story amongst people that can appreciate it and receive it and to hear it and absorb it to a degree is just it's a weight that you just kind of lift off. And so that was the initial kind of thought behind it and experience behind it. There was Ben Holt, if you guys know that guy. He brought a bunch of songwriters down, and that was the very first one. And so we just wanted to try it out and say, okay, like everybody tell your story, get into a group, tell your story, and then we'll try and see if it's like throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, kind of a thing. And it evolved to a degree, but mostly it stayed the same. It's to that original concept of here we go, like tell your story. And the first, maybe hour of that module is, as you said, 4 to 6 or whatever individuals who are in the program and we usually try and keep genders together, but like who just get a chance to say, okay, this is what real life in the military looked like. And 99% of that is probably not going to make it into the song, right? And that's not the point. The point is you have that safe, open space to share what really happened, and then to have that be appreciated, valued, not just by the fellow veterans, but now you've got this songwriter who's like, kind of like the fly on the wall who gets to be like, all right, I'm going to turn this into something brilliant, but also I'm going to be a recipient of this, this story, to validate and to appreciate and to acknowledge. And man, what it turns into is you hear some of the songs and they're beautiful. They're really wonderful songs. But for the veteran, that goes through that experience, and for the songwriter, what went on behind the scenes, right? What it took to get to the word or the, like it may just be, and I'm coming home, right? Or whatever it is. And it just carries so much meaning and significance behind every line. And then it's an opportunity for those veterans to take that song, play it back home, right? To their family, to whoever they're going back to, and to say, okay, this is to people that they've maybe never shared some of these stories with, and they can kind of crack that opportunity to be able to say, okay, this is the real story.